A quick note on conspiracies. I think the word conspiracy has lost its original meaning to many if not most people. When I hear the word conspiracy, I think of a secret plan to hurt or betray one or many people. What I think the word conspiracy is starting to mean to people is an odd or idiotic fear that something implausible is happening that causes something that most people care little about. When someone just utters the word conspiracy in a conversation, you can feel the mood of the room roll its eyes. I'm not surprised because we're used to people who dwell on the activities of shadowy figures to be crackpots. A lot of the times they are. The internet is filled with idiotic conspiracies that are half-baked. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there are a lot more conspiracy theories floating around lately. What's odd is a lot of people who are supposed to be your best friends believe these nonsense stories. Perhaps that's a little too personal. But heck, they're just so normal. They went to school, they have a good job, they cut their hair regularly. Still, for some reason the fact that the Denver airport is a bit quirky means the United States government is Nazi? Where did that come from? Another conspiracy theory that is appearing, although I personally don't know anyone who admitted to believing this, is the Great Reset. I had the privilege of getting through just about halfway of The Fourth Great Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. The moment it mentioned Edward Snowden, whom I'll get to shortly, I tossed the book out the fucking window. Actually, I wish I had. I was listening on Audible. Anyhow, there is a segment of people who read that garbage and came away with the belief that Klaus Schwab has any intelligence. Perhaps he does. Or perhaps his handlers do. What's interesting is, not everyone believes that the governments of the world are trying to suppress the population, in concert with each other because of climate change or whatever. However, it's almost a mainstream belief that our smartphones are bad for us. If you find yourself ever agreeing that social media is killing our society, you're agreeing with the Great Resetter. It's almost an easy offhand comment to say, our phones are terrible, while we use our phone to relay that message to our friend across the ocean. How did that happen? There are a lot of offhand comments that seem to be common sense or common wisdom lately. Offhand comments that people just say in casual conversation that we're obviously meant to agree with. I'll get to some of them later, but for now I want to talk about the events surrounding Edward Snowden. Snowden allegedly leaked information that the United States government was spying on its citizens. There was a whole mess of business and he left the country and now resides in Russia. There was a theatrical release on the subject that Edward himself appeared in, showing his soft and heartfelt hope that the USA will do better. The moment I saw his face in that movie I knew I was watching some bullshit propaganda crap. However, if I had watched that film when it was released in 2016, I would have thought differently. So, the events surrounding Edward Snowden happened in 2013. Just around the time little green men began to swarm Crimea, whoops. The movie was released in 2016, a United States election year. Viewers of this film had the events of Edward Snowden in mind when they went to the ballot box. You might be saying, I think you're putting things together that are just coincidence. Perhaps yes. Or, have you been subject to so many crackpot ideas, that the probability of this being a crackpot idea is high on your radar? People who love conspiracies will be listening wholeheartedly, but I'm assuming the ones who've had enough of great replacement, microchips and vaccines, frogs are making people gay, don't want another idiotic story rummaging around in their brain. Could that be by design? I have to admit I was reluctant to voice my opinion on any of this. However, since the United States State Department began briefing the media on this phenomenon, I have a little bit more confidence. Russia is spreading propaganda across the globe, particularly to its ideological enemies. I came to a conclusion that it started around 2015 or so. Peter Zihan seems to suggest it hasn't stopped since World War II. I've definitely noticed a difference since 2015. To be honest, that's around the time I started caring about anything politicians had to say. At that time, I wouldn't have been able to find Crimea on a map. A lot of things have changed since 2015 in terms of my general perception of the world, and how I'm supposed to be seeing the world. In 2008 the first black president was elected in the United States. 8 years later, I'm supposed to assume that a great chunk of people who voted for Barack Obama have become racist. That's quite fascinating. In everyday life, with interactions with people, I'm supposed to know that all cops are racist. That's apparently the general consensus. I'm also supposed to know, as if it's any way obvious, that the rich do not contribute to society in any way and they should be taxed more. These statements and sentiments are interesting and need a great amount of research to prove. However, those who are expressing these things make it apparent that if I don't agree, or agree fervently enough, I may be accused of being a racist or even worse, Jeff Bezos. So, if contested, these topics can put someone in the line of fire. What I find even more interesting, not only that but extremely troubling, as of late, people have begun disparaging white people. Celebrities and random people on social media are literally saying, another white person did X. Why is this appropriate? This is the most outrageous and dangerous of the rhetoric yet. In general conversations with people you see every day, we're supposed to assume that white people are terrible because they're in a movie, they're rich, they're obviously racist because they're white. I'm sure the list can go on. What I find so utterly astounding is that those individuals who say these things don't see the irony. At the same time, it's evident that the people who say these things are being fed a steady diet of information enforcing these beliefs. On social media post comments, they're shown examples of exactly what they're accusing white people of doing. Same with social media posts. However, it's the comments that are cited most. That's an interesting indicator that I will bring up later. As well, there are countless memes and quick infographics that express how rich people steal from the poor. These things are everywhere. Especially dangerous but very effective is the news outlets that are propagating, not the most extreme cases, but subtle ones. As well, perhaps they don't say, white people bad, but I do hear the rhetoric expressing, the rich should pay their fair share, as if the anchor who just said that doesn't live in a mansion or upscale condo. It's all very fascinating. However, these are all the left's perspectives. From the right's point of view, they see a babbling mass of racists and sex offenders. Yes, I said it. The right thinks the left is racist. How is this possible, you might say? The left can't be racist. The left is so multicultural. A quick news flash, the right is just as multicultural. A fact that is never pointed out. However, I'm supposed to be giving a case for the bad on the far right. There are individuals who believe the things the far left fears. They're racist, they're sexist, they're against abortion, they're against gay marriage. Up until not long ago we knew these people existed in the backwoods of North Carolina and West Virginia. However, we're now supposed to assume that these people make up all of the Republican Party, or the Conservative Party in Canada. Is this also by design? The people who would consider themselves Republican or Conservative are also being fed a steady stream of information via the same means. They're being told that fascism and socialism is growing within the left. They're being told fully grown babies are being ripped from the wombs of women and then left to die. They're being told the term woman doesn't exist. They're being shown that mainstream celebrities are openly expressing hatred for white people and rich people. These same movie stars and news anchors are expressing how rich people and corporations should give away their money to the poor. Quick clips, infographics, and memes are flooding their social media feeds with these images and sound bites. One thing, however, I find extremely interesting is that both the far left and the far right have a positive view on cryptocurrencies. Both sides are being told that cryptocurrencies are the future, but each side is given completely different reasons. I'll elaborate more on all of this next time.